Hello. Today we are going to work on user interface. We will start with the start screen and in-game UI. Every UI element needs to be created on the canvas. By the way, there is the two ways to create UI. First is the legacy, which is UI, and new UI toolkit. UI toolkit is similar to the web development, like because you are creating the XML with the styles. For this project, we are going to use legacy UI. So first, what we need to create is canvas. This is where all UL will be drawn. So once you added canvas, you would see this window for UI. What we need to change is to UI scale mode, change this to the scale with the screen. Because we want for different screen size, for example, for mobile phone or for PC, UI element to be working correctly. And as reference, we are going to use full HD, which is 1920 and 1080. And make sure here in the game you also select the full HD. So that's we are going to use for the reference. Let me close this. Okay, now we're going to create empty object here inside of our canvas. First would be called main menu. And second, we will call in-game menu. Let's create empty. Let's call it in-game UI. To create UI, we need some buttons. And we can use Asset Store to download some UI elements, or like feel free to use any buttons which we have. But before we do that, let's make sure our this UI elements is full size, full screen size. So I'm going to change width and height for main menu, and I would do the same for in-game menu. Okay, now I'm going to go window, Assets Store. It will open immediately in browser Unity Asset Store, and in search I can type UI. Let's search UI, and here is some UI which you can use. So there is different buttons which we can use. Some of them are free, some of them are paid. So I'm going to select this dark theme UI. It should be here, like kind of add to cart or something like that. You need to click it, and then you would have this button open in Unity, open Unity editor, and it will open manager, my assets, and let's click import 1.1 to the project. We don't need this demo thing, we don't need documentation, and I'm not sure, like I don't think we're going to use all of those, but let's keep it for now. Can delete them later. So let's click import. And now it's completed. So I can close this window, and inside of the project, there is the direct UI. Where is the inside of the free? I have a lot of different icons. There is some icons here, and this is the prefabs. I don't think we are going to need them. So let's create some buttons. We would need two buttons. First, it will be a start button and setting button. So I'm going here, main menu, clicking, selecting UI, and we have button Text Mesh Pro. Let's click it. And it's asked me that I need to import TMP Essentials. Let's click it because it's need to import some assets. We don't need TMP Extra and examples. And let's rename this button. First, it will be Start. And just to understand this is the button, let's add event start btn. But I added some wrong symbol. For this button, we have text. Let's use text and click tab to start. Because we're going to like import this as Android, I think tab like mobile phones with the touch screen, I think tab to start sounds fine. And another button which we need, it will be settings. So let's click here, not create empty, but create UI button, and it will be settings btn. This element has text. We don't need text, so let's delete it. And here we have source image. Let's find something similar to the setting. I think this looks fine. And I'm just going to drag here into the source image. And click set native size to use correct aspect ratio. Now we need to move it on the top right screen. How can I do it? So here is the rect transform, and I can click here, and it's configured the pivot and position. So I would need here, you see, click Shift to set pivot and Alt to set position. I'm going to click Alt and Shift and click here to the right side. So this means every time, like when resizing would be happen, this will be like point from which icon would be added. So even if you do resize, let's see, for example, not the full HD, but something like different, it always has correct location in the top right size. And let's back to the full HD. But I don't want it to be like at the top, and I'm going to move it maybe minus 16 and X also minus 16. Okay, so this button is ready. Now let's work on this button. We need to increase the button size because it will be like full, almost like on the whole screen where we would have like click tap to start, like huge huge letters. So let's change the size of this button, and I'm thinking something about like almost full size of the width, and maybe something like this. But right now it's covering everything, so I want to do it transparent. So I'm clicking here on the color, and there is the alpha channel. I'm setting it to the transparent. Okay, now we need to work on the text. So here we have our text mesh pro, tap to start. First, we need to increase font, maybe 100. I think it looks good. And next, let's change the color to the white to make it more visible. And it should be like here. I think this looks good. And we can do it maybe bold. I think it looks nice. Next, what I want to do is to create animation. So those tap to start would be blinking. So at first it would be visible, then not visible, visible, not visible. So we can do to the our animation folder. Let's create here another folder. Let's call it UI. Inside of the UI, as previously we already did, let's create animation controller, and I would call it start btn. So we have this text. I'm going to add this component to the text element. So, okay, now it's here. And now we can create animation itself. So open animator, click create new animation. And let's call it uh, blinking, blinking, blinking start, something like this. And what we are going to do is to click here, record, make sure it's set to the 0. And what we're going to do, change alpha to the 0. Now I'm going to move it like something probably here to the 5 seconds and set alpha and disable alpha. And then let's move to the 10 seconds and let's add here alpha again. Now we have sample 60. I think it's too much. 10 probably would be work better. And now let's run. Okay, I think this looks good. So this is done. And next, let's create in-game menu. in-game menu would be responsible for showing how many, like our distance, how far did we run, and how many uh, gold do we have. So let's create here what we are going to do. Let's create image, UI image, and let's find some assets which is work fine. I think something like this would work fine. Let's try. So let's select image and let's drag maybe this. Okay, set native size, and let's rename it to the info bar. Info bar. And I want this to be located at the top left, but let's disable main menu because we are working on different menu. As previously, I'm going to move it in game menu. What is wrong? Alt Shift. Not sure why it's not. Oh, because I'm moving wrong object. Okay, but also let's use the same as we did -16 on Y and 16 on X. Okay. And inside we going to add two text elements. So let's again select UI, select where this text, and first it will be, let's call it coins, and let's configure it. So how do we want to do it? So let's take, for example, like this and name it gold, and let's move it to the left top, but change a bit on X and on Y to be something like this. Or maybe, yeah, I think this works fine. Then we can duplicate and name it as distance. And again, let's use 99999, and we are going to use meters. And let's move it on X, but not something like this. And I think we can make this whole object is smaller. I mean this one. Or maybe no. I think something like this should be fine. So now we have our visual element configured. It's time to add functionality to it. We will start from the main menu. Let's enable the main menu, and we would need to create few scripts for that. So first, let's create script which we call UI main. It will be responsible for changing, like disabling some of the UI elements and enabling. Let's call it UI main. Let's drag it to the canvas. UI main, and let's open it. So first, which we need is the ability to disable one of the UI elements and enable another one. So I'm going to create public function, public void. Make sure it's public because we would need to use it from inspector. Switch UI, I think, and as parameter is going to accept game object, and let's call it UI. UI, yeah, I think UI works fine. So what we need to do here, we are going to get all of the children's, because, for example, right now we have this canvas and it has few children objects. So before enabling any other UI menu, we want to disable all of the other. So how can we do it? We can do it through loop. For can we do for each? Let's try for each. Maybe for each would work. And if I go into your transform, get child. No, it won't work like that. So we would need to use for loop. So let's use for loop. So I'm starting as I equal to the 0, and we are going to loop through all of the childs until I is smaller than child counts. And then inside I can do transform get child, pass here index, first, second, and then I'm going to take game object and set active to the false. So once I execute the switch UI, it will take all of the children of the canvas and disable all of them. And then we want to enable particular UI element which we are passing. So I'm going to use UI set active equal to true. So this is how we are going to switch. So now we can go to the Unity and try to use this function. For example, we have main menu. Oh no, uh, let's select our button. We have start button. Here we have on clicks. What happened when we are clicking something? So I'm going to click plus here, drag canvas, and inside of the function I have UI main and I have switch UI, and it expects some game object to be passed. So once I'm going to drag in game UI. So once I click this tab to start, main menu would be disabled, but in game UI will be enabled. And another thing which we need is the start game itself. So previously we had in player, so when fire button is clicked, we start the game. So we no longer need this because we're going to start a game using the UI. Let's go to the game manager, or maybe I think stats manager. This is not really correct name for this one because we're going to use this for more than stats manager. Uh, but I will keep it as it is right now. So what we need to do here is to create function public void start, not the start, but start run. And this, we don't have player here, so let's create serialized field because this object need to know about the player. And what we are going to do here is to just change player run started to true. And by the way, those fields shouldn't be static. For some reason, I created them last time as static. It shouldn't be like that. And here we are going to use instance, just some minor fixes. So let's back to our stats manager, where it is, stats manager. So now we have start run. And inside of our UI main, I'm going to create new function start game, public void start game. We can of course use the function from stats manager, but I think uh, it makes sense to have it from UI because in future we may want to add some additional effects or some other things when we are starting the game. So I'm going to use it right here. So I'm going to use here stats manager instance start run. So I'm simply calling this function which we created here. And now I need to add here one more event. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to drag it one more time. UI main and should be start game. So once I click this tab to start, these two functions would be executed. So right now in game UI is disabled, main menu is enabled. Let's start the game. So tap to start here. And once I click it, but object is not running. Okay, it's not running because we have not assigned stats manager to player. So let's select player and let's move it here. Let's try it again. So tap to start here, game started, I can run, and player is dead. Okay. And next, let's add some functionality to the in-game menu. Settings, we are going to work on settings later because we will need to create new UI for the settings. And once this button will be clicked, just then scene will be changed to the settings UI. But now let's disable main menu and let's work on this. So we need to update these numbers, which we have right now 9999. I'm using big numbers to see if it fit fine for the screen. Because if it would use 0 here, make this smaller, and then amount of gold is increased, it would work correctly. By the way, also I think for in-game UI we would need some buttons. We need settings button. So I'm going just simply copy button which we have here and move it inside of the in-game UI. And also we need additional button to pause the game. So I call it pause button. And let's change free. Do we have some icon responsible for pause? Let's see. I think log can work. Yeah, I think this log icon would work fine. So let's drag it and let's move it where it is. Let's move it on a bit right. I think something like this. And now let's update those numbers. So we would need another script, which we called in game UI. Let's go to the script in game UI. And I think for UI script, it makes sense to create a new folder. I'm going to call it UI. And what do we have? We have UI main and in-game UI. Let's move it here and let's open in-game UI. So what we need to do in in-game UI? First, we need to get access to those elements which store text. So let's use serialized field, private, and type would be text, mesh, text, what's going on? Text, mesh, pro GUI, and it's coin text, and I can just take copy and call it distance text. We can update a value for them inside of the update. You see there is suggestion, but I think update is not the best option here because you update is executed every frame, and probably we don't want to like overload our system by updating UI elements so often. So we're going to use another approach. So I'm going to define function, and let's call it update info. And what I'm going to do here is to simply update coins text. And we are storing information about coins inside of the stats manager, but we need to use coins text dot text. And I'm using stats manager, which we have defined it somewhere here, stats manager. We have here public coins, where we are storing how much coins do we have. And we need to execute toString because this parameter is a string. So we cannot pass here like numbers or something like that. So amount of coins need to be converted to the strings. But we also want to add some gold. So I'm going to use string formatting. And it looks like this. So inside of the dollar sign, then brackets, and I'm going to use here gold. So at the end, it will combine everything to the one string. And we need to do the same for the distance text. But as of now, we don't have distance calculated anywhere. So let's go to the stats manager and create new parameter distance. And we are going to update it inside of our update function. So let's create void update. And here I want to check if player position, so I'm going to use transform position.x, bigger than distance. I'm going to set it to the value of the distance. So every time we move some, like player position 1, it will update distance to be equal 1. Player position 10, it will update distance to be 10. But if player for some reason moved back, it won't update because we're updating only if player position is higher than distance. So now we have a value for this distance. We can go back to the in-game UI and here we are going to use distance. Why it's complaining? Because I don't have here text. And let's add just simply m. And now somehow we need to invoke this function. And I'm going to do it inside of the start function. And there is the method. It's built in Unity, which is called invoke repeating. So let's call invoke repeating. And we need here few parameters. First is the name of the function, but it needs to be passed as string. So let's pass it as update info. Why it's set as green? Okay. Next, we need to add parameter time. Like this will specify if you want some delay when this executed, but we don't want any delay. So I'm going to add 0. And next, how often it will be executed. So I think something like 0.25 should be fine. Okay, this is ready and we can test our game. Let's open it. Let's start. Something not working. What's going on? Oh, we have main menu disabled, so it's not possible to start the game. So let's disable in-game menu, but enable main menu. So it's here now, but numbers are not updated because script is not attached anywhere yet. So let's add it here in game UI, and we need to pass here coin, text, and distance. So let's drag our coin and distance, and let's run game again. I think I need to move this drop because it's prevent me from doing anything. So let's just move it somewhere here at the top for now, because I just want to be able to run. Oh, and you see we have 45 gold, and I think this not looks correct because we're using too many elements after the comma. So let's fix that. So here inside of the toString, I can add how do I want those numbers to be represented. So I think we can have one element after the comma, so I can use probably this F1. So in formatting, I'm specifying F1. Let's open the game again, and let's start. So I think it looks much better. So that's all for today. In the next video, we are going to continue working on menu. We are going to work on pause menu and setting, but that's all for today. Have a nice day.